Welcome to the Sendcast. My name is Dale Pickles, I'm the host of the Sendcast and I'm also the Managing Director of B Squared. If you are a new listener, then welcome to the Sendcast. The aim of this podcast is really simple. We want to reach lots of people and help everyone, including me, learn more about special educational needs and disability. I was joined this week by Sarah Griffiths, a children's author and a proud mum of Eva, her autistic daughter. And this episode we discussed autistic burnout and Eva's story. The Sendcast is powered by B Squared. Parents and schools want the same thing. They want for the child to do well, to be happy, to feel understood. But the day-to-day can make that harder than it should be. Reports that do not quite capture the child that you know. Messages may get missed. The small moments of progress can be hard to share, and schools and parents need a way to communicate that works for everyone and where everyone has a voice. And this is where Eversense helps. Parents can see what is happening in school, including the small wins that often never make it onto that report. And it works both ways. You can capture pupil voice and parent voice, so it becomes a shared conversation rather than a one-way update. When everyone has the same information and everyone can communicate, everyone has their own input, it's easier to build that trust. And that's good for everyone. So if you want to find out more about Eversense, visit the B Square website and you'll find a meeting link. And you can book a meeting with me and I can take you through what Eversense can do for your school. But for now, let's get on with that podcast. My guest this week is Sarah Griffiths, a children's author, meditation teacher, parent advocate and former primary teacher. And she is raising awareness of autistic burnout and the growing crisis facing neurodivergent children and families. After supporting her own daughter through severe burnout and school trauma, Sarah began sharing their journey publicly, leading to hundreds of parents connecting with similar experiences. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you, Dale. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You are very welcome. So today we are talking about autistic burnout, and this is an area that not a lot of people, including myself, know enough about. It is talked about in social media, but how many of us really understand what autistic burnout looks like and what are the signs to look for?
Okay, so yeah, it's very complex, autistic burnout, and like you said, Dale, it isn't really known about. And that's through education, also the NHS. From my own experience, it's not really well known about. But I think more and more it's becoming, it's just more prevalent. So when my daughter fell into burnout, it was very scary. A parent that witnesses their child collapse in front of them, she basically lost all means to all her executive functioning. Just went. She could only barely, do just the standard things like sleeping and eating, going to the toilet, and that was it. And when it happened, I didn't even know that it was autistic burnout. She'd been diagnosed in the March with autism and ADHD, and it had been just missed for many years. It kind of dismissed. She was one of those children that, she's intelligent, quiet and masked a lot. When she got her diagnosis, then I, as her parent, thought that, there'd be a pathway in place that she would follow and would get the support that she needed. But that wasn't the case at all for us as a family, no. So I am a single parent as well. So I was a lot of the kind of pressure and stress fell onto me to support her day to day. And what I found was that at school, they had all of the reports, but still didn't really understand autism. And I was having to go into the school and advocate for her and what she needed. And we moved schools 3 times. And it was in the 3rd school when she started year 6. she had like a little afternoon sort of meeting just to kind of get herself ready for that new school year. And when she was there, she said she wanted to go to the toilet, but she disappeared for a few minutes. And she actually came back and she was having a panic attack. Those feelings about her coming back to school, it was almost like over those years of masking, it was just too much for her. I didn't really understand at the time what was happening to her, but I sat her down and I was with one of the teaching assistants and we just helped her to calm and to breathe. But there was still this misunderstanding from the staff. Oh, it's okay. Oh, I've had a panic attack before. Just breathe through it. You'll be fine. And she only managed 2 hours I think it was the next couple of days later, because she couldn't go straight away. She was so just stressed out by the whole thing about going back to school after the summer holidays. And she managed 2 hours. And then that night, after the 2 hours at school, she'd had a panic attack that day, but I wasn't even told about that. And she literally couldn't move off the sofa, Dale, for months. She did, just to go to the toilet. We had to sleep downstairs for 3 months because she was so poorly and she was so frightened. And it was so scary for me as her mom, because even reaching out to mental health, they just didn't really have any support. It was just like, oh, is she harming herself? Is she of harm to you? No. Well, ring the team in the day and somebody will get back to you. But the reality of that was nobody got back to us. It was me constantly phoning until we did manage to get a psychiatrist appointment in the October, and she collapsed early September, but this wasn't till late October. But I had to find private support to understand what was actually happening to her, because the psychiatrist didn't even name the burnout. So I found a psychotherapist who actually listened to what I was saying and understood. She was a neurodivergent specialist, and she managed to help me to get Eva onto a Zoom call. But she said, instead of her being shown on the screen, because I understand she's probably very traumatized by everything that's happened to her, she just put like a little avatar that you can get on Zoom. And so Eva was like a cat. And even though she was frightened, just seeing like her face move and she was able to like wave her hand, that was a way into a professional that understood her. And when she started to ask questions, Eva couldn't really answer at that time, but she was with me, and I was holding her and cuddling her with a blanket. She felt safe with me on the sofa. But she said, Sarah, your daughter is in burnout and you need to remove all demands. You need to let her rest, and you need to just look after her, and you have to let her lead. And nobody said that to me before. Nobody had said that to me.
And that interesting. It's fascinating is one word. Depressing is another. And I don't mean depressing. It's that lack of knowledge and awareness in the wider kind of that in the education community. CAMS trying to get that support. It just, I really don't understand. CAMS seem to have here's one of our 5 options and you have to fit into these 5 buckets. If you don't, then we can't do anything. You're like, but you're the mental health people. If you can't do anything, who can? And that's really, it's not the first time I've come across this again, which is that depressing part. This is a common story that you're in this situation, you're trying to support your daughter, you go to the people who are there to help you, and you end up having to chase, and you generally don't get much because you often don't get fitted. For my nephew, he got discharged by CAMS because he wasn't at a level he could access their services. And you're like, but surely your services should meet where the children are.
Exactly.
But that bit there, which the demands, that's a really interesting thing that I think some people don't understand what a demand is. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So a demand isn't just kind of, okay, we'll just be at home. What do you want for dinner? That's a demand.
It is.
When do you want dinner? That's a demand. And it's all those sorts of things. And even, I'm going to say, safe food. You know, that food, everyone has a food when they're ill. I think in the UK, tomato soup is up there as one of the favourites, along with beans on toast or spaghetti. I'm not beans man, I'm a spaghetti on toast. That's kind of, when I'm ill, that's the food I want. That's safe, easy food. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the sort of food. If you gave me a really nice steak and chips, whatever, believe it or not, that's a demand. And you end up having to go down to what is your safe, easy, no demand food. And for most people, that's the sort of food you have when you are ill.
Yeah.
The easy to cut, the easy to chew. You basically just more or less just swallow it without even trying type food. So those demands are, it's about getting dressed, choosing an outfit, worrying about what you look like when you're going out the front. All those things are demands. So you don't realize how hard it is to get rid of demands when you realize actually how many demands there are.
Exactly. And I have had to unlearn so much, but I feel like we've been on such a journey. And, you know, you said about CAMS, if they can't help with mental health, there's a real misunderstanding between what autistic burnout is, because it's not a behaviour, it's not mental health, it's to do with the child's nervous system. It's a nervous system shutdown, and it's not something that a child can think their way out of or talk their way out of or be given consequences, you know, like, oh, you must come into school or we're going to fine your parents. I don't think that's going to work, because that's exactly what happened to us. We were still told that Eva needed to try to come to school at least, you know, for an hour a day, or there was these demands placed upon her. But when I knew from working with the psychotherapist what autistic burnout was, that it was actually her nervous system had collapsed. That is shocking, that all of the demands over time, her masking, her trying so hard to fit in socially, because she is autistic and ADHD, and her nervous system is so sensitive, you know, through her hearing, her sight, her taste, her touch, her smell, all of it it's like it's so sensitive. Her environment was completely overloading her nervous system. But we didn't know this, because even when she was diagnosed, nobody explained this to me or her dad. But of course, we were just, you know, I used to be a teacher. Like I know how important education is for a child, but I left the education system disillusioned with the way that it's teaching children, and place so many demands and so much pressure on children. That's all children. But when this happened, I just couldn't believe just the complete misunderstanding of what autism is. Like, I think that is a massive thing in all of this that I have learned, and how that can affect a child's life. And if the environments aren't right for a child and the people aren't safe, like you talked about safe foods, but if the environment isn't safe and the people around them don't feel safe, then how on earth are you going to be able to educate a child? Because that is just not going to work.
So you mentioned, like, kind of no one explained to you or her dad kind of what is, no one's probably explained it to her either. And that's one of the things that I think being on the podcast and talking to so many people has just helped me understand that I'm autistic and I've got ADHD. I've got one autistic daughter and another with autism and ADHD. I don't know. Those labels are useless in understanding my daughters. They basically tell me I have to ask questions, but I can't even ask her questions because it's like, what is normal? How does she know what she is feeling or doing or sensing is normal? Because to her, everything is normal. It's the way she is.
Yes.
So I kind of have to have conversations with my daughter about kind of, oh, when you're doing this, and I have to try and kind of really go down to the real basic level, like, do you have a voice in your head? Do you do this? How do you do this? And then realize my daughter really has anxiety over time. and things like that. And you have to kind of explain how you do things and do something. They go, so why are you anxious about time? I just do this. Is that not the same for you? And it's been lots of conversations with my daughters to learn higher autism. Because the problem is, this is autism. And again, I just cringe when I say, this is what ADHD is. This is what autism is. It's like, no, it's not. Just don't. If I see all, and anyone says autism is a spectrum, and it is, and I always think of one of the lovely big colour wheels. Yeah. Which flavour of autism? Then you've got a similar one for ADHD. And you spin those two wheels and they will touch. And you put them next to each other, they will touch. That's my flavour of autism and ADHD. Spin those two wheels again, they're going to touch somewhere completely different. That's someone else's. So even going into ADHD or autism and any of that lot still tells you nothing. Only way to find out is from you, the child, or from you as an individual. But you don't know how different you are to understand what's different. And why is everyone else just getting on with this? Why am I struggling so much? It's like, even just struggling socially or trying to socialize, that's still such a huge area to work out. And my daughter struggled with that. And that was lots of conversations. Again and again of just going through things and highlighting, maybe repeating behaviours from people she hadn't spotted. It's like, oh, okay, she was like this about a month ago, 4 weeks ago, yeah. And she was really horrible to you, yeah. Wasn't she horrible 4 weeks before that? Is there a cycle here about every 4 weeks that might be causing this, do you think? She's like, just again, from a bloke, I'm learning these things with my daughters, but it's that sort of thing is have fun, be really happy, and then be really rude to her 1 week a month. And you sit there and realize, and help your daughter see, again, that's the thing, if with my daughter is, why would you say something if you didn't mean it? So when those horrible things, all of these things, you just have to help your child through without understanding how rules set.
Yeah. And because, like, you know, you're in a society that has these expectations, and you have your own expectations as when you're a parent, what it's going to be like. So you do what you think is right, don't you? And then when your child's starting to suffer, and like socially she was really suffering and she didn't understand why children were being unkind to her, because I look back now and it's because she didn't behave in the way that they expected her to behave. And I'm just like, but she almost had to go through that to understand herself. Yeah, she wouldn't, without the experience, she wouldn't know herself. But we had like a really amazing experience this weekend, Dale, if I can tell you about it, which is a positive from our story. So Eva has been in recovery, you know, for months. It's taken her like 9 months and she's still recovering. But what I realised when I met Jane was that we needed to stop all the demands. So that's exactly what I did. And I had to like relearn like how to parent my daughter, basically, because all the things that I'd been told, the expectations, the pressures you put on yourself and your child, that all had to go. And it's really difficult when you've got, you know, family, other friends, and you've got all these different people saying, oh, what about this? What about that? And it was like, no, like we need to stop completely. And we managed to work with an amazing occupational therapist. So Eva has this wonderful lady, Shelley, every week now. And she's kind of restored Eva's trust in adults again, which has been amazing to see. And she actually comes to the house just for an hour once a week. And she basically, when we had her occupational therapy assessment, which again was something we were never told that she would need, I had to find that all out myself and find it and do it privately. But it opened my eyes to just how complex Eva experiences the world in such a complex way, and her sensitivities to so many things, which explained how and why she felt life and found life so difficult. And when I read the report, I cried because it made me, I felt so guilty that I didn't know, but how could I have known? But you still do that to yourself as a parent. You're like, but why couldn't I have known sooner? And God, I would never have put her through this. I would never have tried to send her to another school. Oh my God, like what have I done to my daughter? But when I was explaining this to her, she said, but Sarah, if this hadn't have happened, and as severe as burnout is, like now you know Eva and Eva knows Eva. And, that's amazing. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible way to have to find that out. But this is why I have to talk about it so that this doesn't, have to get to this severe before something, things can be put in place so that it doesn't get to that. But this weekend, Eva loves like being with animals. She loves going to like visit farms, and she loves like donkeys and sheep, especially the lambs. And so we've been looking at maybe getting like a caravan, but Eva thought that was a bit too much. And then we were looking at like maybe getting a camper van, and then that was quite expensive. And Eva was like, I don't think that I really want that. And then we were looking at different ways we could camp, maybe that would be local for her, so to get out in nature, because she'd been in the house for like 8 months and hadn't left the house, which was really hard. And so I found this campsite, and I found this amazing, it's called a tent box. I don't know if you've seen them.
Oh yeah, yes, I'm at tent boxes. They're all over the place now, aren't they?
Yeah, you just take the cover off, clip the ladder, flip it down, and it's like a tree house on your car. It says. So I showed Eva the videos and I said, shall I go and have a look? So I went and had a look. She just thought it was amazing. So we got one. And then all last week, I knew that she couldn't really do much if I had said to her, do you want to go on a camping trip? There's no pressure to stay overnight. It's very local. They've got farm animals there. You can actually feed the animals. And she was like, yeah, I'd love to go. I'd love to go. So we got all of her comfort things, so with blankets, and we made sure she had her technology so she could play her games because it regulates her. She got her arts things because she loves drawing. We set this tent box up at this camping and glamping site in Shropshire, and it was just really small, lovely place. The lady that owns it was amazing, and even managed to go. We got there at 11 o'clock and we stayed till 10 o'clock on Saturday evening, but she couldn't manage the night. But I was like, that's absolutely fine. She said, I need to go now. And I was like, that's fine, we'll go. But I was so proud of her. My God, it was amazing.
That's a really nice experience. I know lots of families do struggle with holidays, and you mentioned caravans. But I think caravans and camping are really good because it's like it's your place, your safe place.
Yeah.
If you could even literally get the caravan and have it on your drive and go, do you want to sleep in the caravan tonight? And it becomes a safe place for them. So if you do go out for the day, you know exactly where you're going to retreat to. And it's the same thing, I think, with the tent box, and that's the tent which is on top of the car. Any tent, you know what you're going to get. It's your space. You have a door.
Yeah.
Yep. Only you're going to be in there. It makes it a kind of that safe, secure place, a bit like being at home. It's different.
Yeah.
But I think with a caravan, we looked at them we did camping for years, and we were on this, do we get a caravan, do we not? And with my daughters, they wanted bunk beds so they couldn't see each other. They kind of had their own private space, but it's like that worry of someone seeing you, that's demand.
Yeah.
Kind of, you've got to be perceived, they might be judging you on what you're looking at on your phone. So the fact they couldn't see each other, kind of, I'm not being judged. They can't see what I'm doing. They can't see what I'm laughing at. Or it's that sort of, that's a demand which people don't realise. And it was like, how can I reduce all these demands? How can we go somewhere they've never been to before, but have that safe, secure knowledge that they're going to be somewhere they feel safe?
Yeah.
Whereas if you go, Premier Inn is quite a good example of that autism-friendly hotel because you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Where in most hotels, the mattress could be rubbish, the floor could be creaky, could be too hot. There's just so many variables. But I think camping and caravanning really helps that. And there's something about that pace of life on a campsite.
It's so chilled.
So chilled. Nothing's flying past. It's most of the time it's happy sounds.
Yeah, it's birds, isn't it? And obviously you could hear the sheep in the distance, and the goats came up and we fed them. And they even had names, and the lady on the place was telling Eva all about the animals. It was just so lovely to see. And it's the first time I've seen her feel like confident enough to speak to adults. And she wanted to, and she didn't look frightened. She didn't look uncomfortable. She was able to be herself. And that I haven't seen. If you'd have told me back in September when she collapsed that in 9 months' time she'd be able to do that, I would have been like, what? I don't believe you. So it just shows that, like, I think as parents, we have to listen to our own intuition, because even when I had the demands of the school saying, oh, she needs to come back in, we need to have these appointments to make sure that, safeguarding's in place and all of that. I was just like, no, you're not doing that to my daughter. Like, you just don't get to do that to her.
I do find this so your daughter has masked through school.
Yeah.
And she has masked not just with the children, but with the adults.
Yeah.
It's not a mask with you. It's literally, she's in there masking. And maybe things didn't go right. Like I say, her perspective, because that's all you can really go on. I say with my daughter, it was her perspective of what happened was kind of, that's how she formed what happened. Is that maybe things happened. She went to the staff. Nothing happened. It was unfair, unjust. Someone was horrible. And she followed the rules or whatever. And actually, these things kept happening. People were hot. All that sort of thing. And for me, in year 10, I followed all the rules. I'd get bullied. And in year 10, I went, I've had enough, and I fought back. And that's when I got stopped being bullied. And I'm like, but I followed the rules for years. No one looked after me. The teachers dismissed. When I finally stood up for myself, because I gave up waiting for the school, that's when the bullying stopped. And I think the thing with that masking, with that thing around teachers kind of just dismissing her worries, it's just constantly dismissing it. That trust in those adults is just going to disappear.
Just went completely, yeah.
And then they're saying, oh, don't worry. And or you're in a panic attack. Oh, you still got to come in. Or
yeah.
And just
if it's nothing, it's just like nothing.
It just destroys that trust. And then when you talk about safeguarding, it's like the adults in the school completely ignoring her are the cause for this. So the safeguarding bit would be not around the dangerous people who are damaging my daughter. Now they're going to say, but we're professionals, we're teachers, we are safe, we do all this. And that's why I said that perception. It's not about, are you factually safe where you are? It's, do you feel safe?
Yes.
And it's that perception. And that's the bit that no matter what you do as a teacher, or a head teacher, that's the bit you do not control. How someone feels about something, that perception.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a big thing, is for schools. And also, I think a big part of this is also the NHS, because Eva had something quite traumatic happen to her through the dentist, because they knew that Eva was neurodivergent, and when she was 5, she had to go to hospital to have a tooth out because it was blocking one of her front teeth coming through. She was only 5. And they actually did put her to sleep for that, because obviously it's very traumatic when you're 5, and it was in COVID times as well. So it got cancelled about 8 times. Oh my gosh. So she went through a lot just to get that tooth out, but we did it, and I was so proud of her. And then as she's got older, she's had so many problems, which was with like her teeth like being loose, but they wouldn't fall out on their own. It was like they were like half coming out, but some bits would fall off and the other teeth were coming through. And So I kept going back to the dentist saying she's actually getting ulcers because the sharp bits of tooth are rubbing on the gums, and she can't really eat. And this one time she was so ill, she was barely eating anything because she got such a sore mouth. I had to call 111, but they just kind of fobbed me off and said, oh, she'll eat when she's hungry, kind of thing. So I went back to the dentist saying, please one of my friends works at a dentist and said that they can give gas and air to just help her to at least be, slightly, it's not sedation, but it's more calming. Because they said that basically a dentist said the NHS won't pay for her to be put to sleep. But I was like, but it's traumatizing for her to have this. Like she had about 3 teeth that were causing the problem. And after asking a few times, he put some numbing cream on. He was going to put a needle in her mouth. And I said, there's no way you're going to do that to me. She won't, you do that. He said, the numbing cream will be fine then. So we'll do that. And then he literally got his pliers and he pulled out her teeth that were loose. He said, they'll be fine. They'll just come out. But because Eva was obviously really nervous about going in the first place, I was amazed that she even sat in the seat. Like when he pulled them out, she started to panic and I could see her going white, and she stood up and she actually collapsed in my arms. And the dentist just looked at me and said, has she had her breakfast today? As if it was nothing. And the nurse I said, do you think I could have some water? Like she's just collapsed. I was like, it's because she's so frightened. It was just the way she was treated. It was so bad. And that caused a lot of trauma for Eva, along with her whole school experience. And when we... Go on, sorry.
Again, it's logical grouping in your head. And I think what children can easily learn is home, mum, dad, safe. Once he's passed to help me, dentist, hurt me, kind of not going to trust them again. Go to school, okay, kind of not hurting me, but also not helping me. And you end up just, every adult, apart from our parents, can't trust them. And you can say, that's ridiculous. Listening, you might literally say, it's just ridiculous. It's not. It's based on her experience.
Her experience, yeah.
She is making up these rules based on the information provided. Yeah, that actually what she believes, her thoughts, her ideas, what she is worried about, simply dismissed. Well, I don't want to be around you because you're ignoring me. And you can't just dismiss her because you don't understand why. You can't just go for, everyone's scared of dentists. Different.
It's a completely different scale, though.
Through experience, understanding what's going on, just so many things can make that experience different for your daughter.
Yeah.
And these things just get dismissed so easily because someone will say, everyone's scared of dentists, or everyone happened.
Not to this scale, no. And what was really sad, Dale, was that actually he could have referred us to a community dentist who would have actually helped us, but he never even mentioned that was a possibility. But now she is registered with a community dentist, but she's still not able to go at the moment because she's when we saw Jane, her psychotherapist, she said she has like PTSD because of what happened to her, which is understandable. So it's something that we are working through. But I know that she will be able to go in time because she's definitely feeling much safer with everything that we're doing. Yeah.
But I think there are probably lots of neurodivergent children who don't fully understand themselves.
No.
And I'm not saying autistic burnout is a good thing by a long shot.
No, it's
at all. But again, I'm going to find that silver lining. And as you said, you know your daughter and your daughter knows herself. And that's something I'm still with my daughter who's 20. She's not a sharer. I've got one daughter who shares everything. I know everything about her life, whether I want to or not. She shares. My other daughter keeps it more personal to her.
Yeah.
Which makes having conversations harder. She internalizes lots, but doesn't share that. So I get bits, I get snippets, but it's hard to put that picture together.
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to support her and I'm trying to work out, as she's 20, she's at uni, you need to be independent, but I need to support you. I don't know in which areas I need to support, or I should be taking over, or I should leave her to it. Whereas your daughter knowing her and understanding where her differences are and all those sorts of things, and you understanding that, long term, that is a really good thing. It's a strong place to be that you can build on.
And that's what showed up this weekend, because on the Saturday, there was a lovely family, also tent boxers, Dale, came over, said, oh, you look, do you want any help? And I was like, oh, that'd be really nice. We got this like living pod to put on the side, which was a bit faffy. And they were helping us put that up. And the mom of the family, she was really nice. And she was like talking to Eva, and she said, oh, my daughter's the same age as you. But Eva was able to say, I don't, it's not easy for me to go up and talk to people. So I quite, I have to take my own time. And if I feel like I can, then I will. And I was just like, oh my God, like she's advocating for herself. Like this is huge. Like I never would have expected this, like, 6 months ago, let alone, I just can't. I was so proud of her, and just watching her just be independent, and she was walking around the campsite on her own, and I just thought, this is just amazing to see her be able to do this.
That's really nice. And again, just reflecting on what she said is basically, I've been hurt by lots of kids before. I trusted them, and everyone told me it was the right thing to be, and that really didn't work out for me. So I'm just going to go at my pace and find out if that is somebody I want to spend time with. And that's, again, how many of us spend time with people who aren't healthy for us?
Yeah. And then we think, oh, maybe this isn't great. We shouldn't be.
Often we don't get that, which isn't great. We often just maybe moan about it, or just... we use almost so much energy putting up with people who are negative in our lives.
Yeah.
And actually, you end up then masking because you put up that face on and all. And actually, to be able to sit there and go, no, you're not actually going to be in my life because you're not a great... That is such a healthier place to be.
Isn't it? And it saves so much time.
It does, without a doubt. It just means that when she finds those friends, they will be friends who understand her and who accept her as she is and will support her when she needs that support.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, everyone wants their child to have lots and lots of friends. And we often push our children to make those friends, don't we? That's what you kind of do. You push them out and go to that party. I don't like them. Don't worry, you'll enjoy it. Because you repeat the things that you did and what everyone else does. But actually, it's not always great.
It's exhausting for a child who's autistic. And, over time that can just put so much pressure, can't it, on your child. That's, again, another reason for burnout, because it's just too many demands placed on them. And I used to be one of those parents who thought, oh, it'd be lovely if Eva went to after school clubs and try this, try that. And then over time she just kind of retreated into herself and wanted to be at home more. And I could see, I was just like, I really didn't understand why, but she was absolutely exhausted. It was just like over time, as the demands got higher, she became more introverted and wanted to be at home at the end of the day. And what was really quite, now I look back, I didn't know what it was at the time, but even from as early as nursery when she was 3, after about, like when they have Easter holidays, she'd almost look grey, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And she'd be really hot, and I'd take her to the doctors. They say, well, it's just a virus. She hasn't got a cold or anything. There's no chest infection. But she would repeatedly get these like viruses. But I realise now it was her body, her system was like trying to recover from all of the demands placed on her. Her actual, to touch her skin was boiling hot. And since Eva's been in burnout, this is what's been happening. Like her body's literally overheating because her nervous system is exhausted. Like we've had to have fans on 24/7 to cool her down because like she just, but that's her body's way of trying to regulate itself. Like I didn't even know that would happen. And I think it's all of this. It's just kind of sharing my experience. I know it won't be the same for everybody, but understanding, I think understanding sensory challenges for neurodivergent children is really, really key, because I don't think, like as a neurotypical person, I didn't understand the severity of what that can do to your nervous system. And I think for all people, you know, we have our limits, don't we?
Yep.
Like I feel like navigating Eva's recovery, it did actually make me very ill, because I was her safe person and her only safe person until just recently. And now she will stay with her nan and she will spend time with her dad. But for months it was just me, and that's exhausting. So it's about advocating for children and parents. And, you know, I did write Eva's story to give all children a voice. Going through something like this it's so difficult, you know, as a parent, but for the actual child that's going through it, I mean, it's just so sad that this had to happen. But I didn't want to not say anything, because it was shocking, Dale, actually, that, you know, the services that are supposed to be there, like you think if my child collapses, like somebody's going to help me. Do you know what? There wasn't anybody. Nobody. For 6 weeks, Eva was so ill. I was crying most evenings, trying to phone people, find answers. Just, you know, I was really frightened. And it was only by just keeping going, keeping asking, trying to find what to do. But it's not having the right intervention or saying the right things. It is a balance of support from people that completely understand what neurodivergency is, and also it's about knowing your child, and like you said, knowing what they need. Instead of what can we do, what can they do, you've got to ask, what do they need?
And that's thing, because you mentioned about how kind of being your daughter's only safe person is draining. I think one of the reasons it's draining is you're not running on autopilot. You're kind of running on your daughter's autopilot, which you don't understand.
Yeah.
So we'll just, oh no, Eva can't do that because Eva struggles with this. Okay, so what do I? And you're trying to put yourself in her position with all the rules you know of hers, which aren't your rules, and you're trying to plan to do those things for her so she can access stuff. You're trying, and that's the thing. It's with my daughter. And I love my daughter, and I'm happy to do this. But sometimes it can be draining, trying to just take all the things she needs into account to give her those things.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're human beings, aren't we? We all have our own limits and our own needs, and it's something we have to talk about. You know, I would do anything for Eva. I'd do it all again, but it's like, when I really needed the support, it just wasn't there, and I had to really try and find it myself. I mean, I'm very lucky, you know, my mom's been amazing, and my dad, and I've got some very good friends, but, you know, even with that, like day to day, it was just all on me, and that's really tough when you don't know what's happening to your child, and that's why I feel I have to talk about autistic burnout, and that's why I wrote the book Eva's Voice, so that I could share that with other families. And when I did, and I released it in February, so it was due to come out in March, but I had so many people on my author page on Facebook, because when I shared our story and I was really honest about what was happening, and that I had deregistered her from school because there was just no way I was going to send her back to the institution that made her poorly, I got hundreds and hundreds of parents. On each post that I was posting, there was just so many. I was just really overwhelmed with the response to what I was saying. They were going through very similar things. Some people even worse. I mean, to the point, Dale, where some people had lost their children. It was, you know, that really was so shocking. And I just thought, I can't not like put this out there sooner. I need to get this out there. And when I launched the book, I had so many people reaching out and saying thank you, and parents saying thank you. I shared this with my two autistic girls, and we're all crying. We're all crying because this is our life, and thank you for sharing that this is something that is actually happening, and they felt validated and seen by that. Yeah.
But is that, again, you talked about those parents who have lost their children, and it just shouldn't be. Is Eva doesn't understand the world around her. Yeah, the things everyone's doing, it's really strange. They're saying one thing but meaning another, all that sort of stuff. She doesn't understand the world. The world doesn't understand her. And then you go and get help, and whatever you say is just purely dismissed. And all the stuff, I'm struggling to do this. Oh, nope, you're just being silly. You've got to come in. And you're like, when everything feels so wrong and no one's listening to you, it's a really horrible road and a horrible place to be in. And sadly, the only way to really get support is for your child to fail. But if you do too well as a parent, you're still not going to get support. And in reality, the fact that, again, you had to fight, you had to do everything. We're really fortunate. We never had, we had challenges, but through all the stuff I've been doing for years, I had a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience being neurodivergent myself and knowing I didn't fit in. I had a voice that I could relate. My rules are different to my daughter, and she knows that clearly, that we could have those conversations that no one gets us and we're in this together. We were able to do that. And again, similar to you, we had to go find that support ourselves. So we paid for our own counsellors that Maisie can go and talk to someone. And that made a difference. The stuff we did made a difference. The stuff we did supported my daughter. The stuff we did has got her to where she is now.
Yeah.
The stuff the school did, no. I lie because there was somebody at my daughter's primary school, the nursery teacher, who was absolutely amazing. She was there for my daughter. She supported my daughter. But in secondary school, no. And you reach out, no. You go to the Senko, no. My daughter's attendance would have to drop hugely. We would have to be fined. And only kind of then, when we're at that final gate, okay, yeah, something's going wrong, yes. Probably bad parenting. And then once we get past that barrier, then we will be able to access support. And I just don't know how we have got to that place. I don't know how we have got to children have to fail, families have to kind of fall apart, people have to leave their jobs, all of these things to happen. And yet bad parenting will be that. I don't know. I just don't know how we've got here.
No, it's really scary. Yeah, and the fact that like parents are being tarred with this brush, that it's the way that we're bringing up our children. Like, we're the ones that are advocating for our children and are doing everything we can to keep them safe. It's like, why I don't understand why society is so adamant that, when a child is really poorly with their mental health, well-being, that they should be in school. If school is the very place that they don't feel safe in, like, it doesn't make sense. It really is quite shocking, and I feel so glad that she doesn't have to go back to school, and we're going to find, a way that works for Eva. She, I think, will flourish and blossom now because she knows that, she doesn't have to fit into a system. She can, I'm going to be her support. I have had to give up my work. I am still doing my author stuff, but a lot of it's obviously just doing that from home. I can't really visit many places like I used to, but, I would do anything to make sure that she's safe. And in time, I don't know what her future looks like, but I don't feel frightened about it anymore. Whereas when she was at school, I genuinely felt frightened about what on earth, if this keeps going on, is going to happen to her.
That's the thing is, there is that conveyor belt. There is that GCSE 16, A levels 18, off to university, blah, de, blah, de, blah. That's one path.
It's just one route, isn't it? It doesn't mean it's for all children.
And it's about giving your children confidence in doing what they want to do, what makes sense for them. The world isn't as black and white as it used to be, that this is the thing. You need to have this, you need to have that, you need to have this car, that car, blah, blah, blah. Those rules are changing, which on one hand, I think it is really good, but that's not still reaching back down into schools and so on. Actually, there are lots of routes. Maybe a degree isn't the right thing for you. But it's about helping your daughter, helping your child know what that next step is. Being that confidence. Again, there's so many things. I just listening to you talking about that camping trip. Although you didn't stay the night, you might next time.
Yeah, she wants to go again. It's amazing.
But it might be something you kind of stick the car on the driver in the back garden and sleep on. There's so many little bits you could do, but you know that you're taking one step forward together.
Yeah.
Then she starts recognizing she's taking steps forward. She starts recognizing that. And then sometimes that walking, those steps forward, turns into a walk, a fast walk and a run, because she knows what she wants, because she is understood, because she is valued, because she is listened to. She knows what she wants. And for my daughter, she wants to be an educational psychologist.
Wow.
And so we recently looked at universities. She's worried about moving away from home because we are
safe,
her support.
Yeah.
We are the people she can unload to. We are the people who help her with her executive function. We are the people who help her. She's worried, can she do it on her own? I think she can. I really do think she can. But for her, it's her stepping away from that, something that she's known, and that support when the world, and even today, her college sent out a stupid email they really shouldn't have. They knew they shouldn't have sent it, but they've sent it out. It's made her stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say to her, oh, don't worry about it because of X, Y, Z. But in her head, she wouldn't have received that email if it wasn't meant to be sent. And all those sorts of things, those little bits that you support your child with, that you protect your child with.
Yeah.
Stepping away from that is really scary, but at the same time, you want them to. Understanding your child, helping them make those steps, pushing them at a rate that works for them is really important.
Yeah, and it's I think, like, because Eva's been in burnout, it's also, she recognises like after the trip, like, she's really tired, so she knows for the next few days she needs to kind of rest and kind of recuperate. Whereas, you know, in the past, before all this happened, she'll just keep pushing through, and that's when she got really poorly. So now it's like, with burnout, it's not a linear recovery. It can, you know, she can take 2 steps forward and then, you know, take a few steps back again. And but now, like, I know the rhythms of how her body works, how she feels. It's about me just kind of following her lead, like what she needs. And it's such a healthy way to live. It's just, we're not in the rat race constantly. Push, go.
No, that rat race, that where you should be, what you're supposed to be doing, all that sort of stuff.
It's all gone, Dale. It's great. And it's great for me. I mean, I feel like I found this new freedom. I had this idea of what our lives were going to be like. And, you know, I'll be honest, I have been grieving the life that I thought Eva would have and the life that I thought I would have. But actually now I've had this time to, like, rest myself and support Eva. I realised that there's a completely different world for us now that is quite exciting, not knowing what's going to happen, and we don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. We can find our own way, and she's so creative, and I'm a really creative person. And I think, it's really exciting. Like, I wonder what we'll do next and where we'll go and where our adventures will take us and what stories I'll write next because of my own experiences, and because I get my inspiration from my kind of own experiences and kind of bring them into my writing to support families. And that's kind of always been my inspiration, is children, the children that I've met in my life, obviously my daughter, and wanting to share those real key things that have helped us. And if they help the families, then that's amazing.
But again, it's just so many things. But I think when you have that conveyor belt, when that life you grieved, and I think lots of parents have grieved the life they thought. But that's the thing, is they saw a future life and they couldn't wait to get there. And that's the sort of thing you realise. When my daughter was born, I think I view myself as a grandparent with a whole family around for Christmas type thing.
Oh, yeah.
I got to there. Already, it's like she's like 5 minutes old, and I'm already going, I'm going to be a grandparent, all this lot. And that's the thing, you grieve, but you're viewing one snapshot miles in the future, and all you're kind of doing is waiting to get there. Whereas I think when you kind of stop and you pause and you look around, there's a lot more going on than you realised. And the small things, like going to that campsite and hearing the animals and feeding the animals and just slowing down and just going, life's all right. And you may not be in Morocco, you may not be in the Seychelles, which probably would be lovely. Shropshire.
Beautiful Shropshire with its sunset, yeah.
But in reality, none of that mattered because you looked at your daughter and she was happy.
Oh, honestly, I was thinking about today, just kind of thinking about talking to you and just going over in my mind about what she's been through. And I got really emotional, and because of what happened on Saturday, I said to Eva, I said, I'm just so proud. I'm so proud of you, like everything that you've been through. You've never given up, Eva. You've just kept going, and you trusted Mummy, and we're like a team. We're like a real strong team now, and if we get through this, we can just get through anything. And she just looked at me and she went, "Oh, thank you. Let's take it all in a stride. Thanks."
That would be a compliment, and then the horrible bit straight away.
Yeah.
I know she really means it. It's almost like she can't be genuine. She has to be the horrible bit at the end, and then it's all bad. It's those things. It's in the same, like even Christmas, how you imagine Christmas. I mean, you imagine one of those adverts on TV. Yeah, the whole family together. Everyone laughs at the same moment. Oh, lovely. Your Christmas didn't look like that.
No, oh God, no. It was me and Eva on our own. We didn't see anybody. She didn't want to see anybody. It was just really sad. But it was something we had to do.
But next year it'll be different. And you'll find the Christmas that works for you.
Yeah.
Christmas that Eva wants. The Christmas where you both smile, where you watch something together, where you do something together, and that becomes a tradition that you keep going back to. It's not a lesser Christmas.
No.
It's a Christmas that suits you and your family.
Yes.
And that's what we just got to work out. And again, I think social media and Instagram makes us think this is how we all have to be. We all have to have the Stanley cup and drink our water out of it, or we all have to go for the walk in the woods with a Costa coffee, which is quite popular in our area. It's what you should be doing. Wearing these clothes, driving this car. And actually you sit there and go, that doesn't suit us.
No, it's not working for me.
And you make that step when you sit there going, what does work for us? What do we want? Then Definitely. You start having really powerful, valuable time. We've come a long way from autistic burnout. But it is, I think anyone keeping up with the Joneses, the rat race, everyone's heading to burnout.
Yeah.
I think with that autistic burnout, it's not you're chasing something which is unachievable. It's you're being made to chase something you don't understand, and no one understands you. That's the sort of thing. That's what's leading to that burnout. And I think all those little tiny signs that you dismiss, like you said towards my daughter, I know my daughter towards the end of the half term, it was always draining. They'd be more ill.
Yeah.
We were just drained at the end of the half term. We learnt we couldn't do sleepovers during school time. Yeah. Even end of the term, worse, we could only do sleepovers during the holidays because that's when they had chance to recover. Because my daughter never had a good sleep on a sleepover. But they're the rules you slowly learn.
Yeah.
But even then, it's just, you've got to pay attention to so many things and assume that you don't know your child's rules.
No, and you're right about what you said about, like, it's amazing your insight into your relationship with your daughter and going deep into asking her those questions. Like, how does that feel when this happens? Because I think that's what I'm doing now. But obviously before, when Eva was younger, you just assume that they experience the world as you do. But, you know, obviously in their own right as their own person. But I didn't have all of this information, and it just makes you see the world in a completely different way. And we're all so unique. But I do genuinely feel excited about what the future holds and, you know, where we're going to go and what we're going to do. But I do feel like all this has happened, and people say, oh, it happens for a reason. But
I tried not to say really.
Yeah, for a reason. But, you know, I don't know what that reason is, but I know that it's definitely given us freedom from, you know, those very tight rules and regulations of the education system that just don't fit our family. And I know they work for some people, but they're not for everyone. And I do feel like community is kind of the way forward for children who are neurodivergent and families, because we have the infrastructure in this country to support through farms, through National Trust places, you know, museums. We have all these amazing places that families who the children can't manage education in a school, because let's face it, Dale, who wants to sit in a classroom for 6 hours a day sitting in the same chair with the same people year in, year out?
Are you talking about work or school?
School and work, really. It's just so outdated anyway, isn't it? It's not very inspirational, I feel, for our young people. Like, I just think this really needs to change and adapt, and we need to adapt for our children and who they are in this world now, and give them the experiences that they want. Like, why are we teaching them all these things? Like, it's just rote learning. Why are we not looking to the child and what their unique interests are and supporting them in that way to what they are, you know, what their gifts are, what their interests are? You know, you're going to have children that are really excited to learn if you're going to look at it that way.
Definitely. And just a laugh bit, just again, because you've went to the camping site with Eva, and let's say this weekend you decide to go get a McDonald's and it doesn't go so well. As you said, sometimes you take a step forward and you go, oh, yes, this means we can do this now. Then you find out, no, it really doesn't. And it's again, because you've made that kind of assumption that, well, I can do this, so if I can do this, I can do that. But it's, Eva will have a different set of rules. So, and I've done that with my daughter. She can do X, so you can do that. No. And it's what's the difference? What is that difference in demand? And so it's things like, we cannot go have a picnic in our local park or a park 5 minutes away. My daughters might be seen by someone they know. I'm like, cool, so what's bad about it? Well, they might see us. Okay, but what's bad about that? Well, they're just stuck on this being, and they don't know what the person will think of them. So if we want to have a picnic in a park, we have to drive at least 20 minutes away just to have a picnic in a park. Just so my daughters are confident no one they know will see them. As a family, we can't go to the local shopping centre as a 4. That's a family outing. That will be judged. My daughter can only go with one parent shopping. Makes no sense to me.
No, but it's what makes sense to them, isn't it? And that's the thing.
And it's just, or we're saying, well, let's go here. Oh, this mum's coming now. Oh, I don't want to go now. And you're like, okay, you wanted to go shopping. We're buying you something. Now you don't want to go. I'll come back to that later. And you have the conversation. I asked the why. I'll ask a why. You'll give me an answer. I'll dismiss it. I'll ask a why question and I will listen to the response. And I will use the information you share to make different decisions next time.
Yeah.
And it might mean I say to my wife, I'm going shopping with Maisie, my daughter, and my wife goes, okay, nope, just me and her. Nothing personal. Just the way she needs it.
Yeah.
And it's about just listening to those rules. And we now can, many years later, go out, both parents and daughter. She's kind of built that trust. Kind of the bad things haven't happened. She's more confident in herself. She feels like we know her and we support us, therefore it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a journey you go on. But it's about listening.
Yeah. It's not about forcing or pushing or manipulating in any way. It's all asking what they need.
One question before I wrap up. So with Eva's Voice, that book, the book you've written.
You have it here, Dale.
You have it here.
My goodness.
So for those not watching, just listening, she's holding it up. So, tell me about the book. Who's it aimed at? Is it a story? Is it biographical? Is it a top list of things to avoid? What's the aim of the book? Who's it for? Who are you trying to reach?
Okay, so it's written from the perspective of Eva, from being a young child to the present day. So it's a rhyming story. So it is really written for children to share, like, with their families. And it basically tries to share with children that will resonate the language that I've used, how they are feeling. As they grow up, they noticing differences within themselves. So the book starts with Eva being at nursery and noticing that she only likes particular foods, but there's all these adults trying to force her to try new foods. And she's like, oh, no. And this was one of the things that happened. She had to take like a little snack pack with her to nursery because they tried to give her the dinners there, but she just wouldn't eat them. And she was just told she was fussy. She was being awkward. It was never kind of raised as that it was to do with her tastes and textures that, obviously were frightening to her. And she wasn't able to eat only very, very certain foods. And that just went on and on throughout her life. And then the story goes on to how she went through school and basically how her life kind of deteriorated because of the pressures placed onto her. And what I wanted to do was to give children a voice, so they felt that through Eva, their voice was being shared, that their experiences of those anxieties, those feelings of being dismissed, not listened to, that somebody could listen now. Their families were obviously reading it with them, so that again gives them that validation that they're not on their own, that this is happening to other families too. And also for teachers and for anyone who works with children, so in NHS and education services, that they really understand. It's about, like you said, Del, it's about what the child is feeling. We may not be able to see that. And I think that's the thing, when a child masks, an adult doesn't always see their distress. But if a parent is coming in and raising these concerns, it's about listening to the parent and, believing what the parent's saying. Eva got to the point where she was self-harming at school. It got really bad. And even though the school saw her doing it, it was just like it wasn't really to do with them. She still needed to come back in and conform. So I had to write it because I don't want this to continue to happen. I want people to really understand what children are going through, so that if somebody who's working with a child sees this podcast, and can really hear what I'm saying and really see the child, because it's about every child. Every child has their own experience of the world, and it's about listening to them, and really understanding them. And if I can reach an adult that's working with a child, and they go and, find out more about autism, ADHD, neurodivergence, and really support, who they're working with going forward, then, that's what the book's for. It's to change things for the better. Yeah.
I always love that phrase, you can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person.
Yeah.
I always love that one, because everyone wants to change the world, but sometimes you don't realize that some of the small things you've done, and if someone, as you said, if someone reads Eva's voice and it resonates with them and they share with their parents, or they share with someone, this is kind of what I'm going through, that person's validated. That person has a way of communicating where they are, how they're doing. And that can change the world for that person.
Yeah, I had amazing feedback from parents who bought the book, and professionals as well who work with children. Occupational therapists got in touch and said, we're going to use this with our families because we feel like it's really going to help. And, just having that recognition that I know that it's helping, and that was the whole point of me doing that. So it's definitely, it's important for me to share Eva's story for our own experience, but also for families that are actually going through this, or for families, that will have to go through this in the future. Maybe it will stop it from getting to the burnout point because of this book.
Hopefully. And I'm going to wrap it up.
It's been amazing, Dale. Thank you so much.
It's been... Obviously, you're on a journey and all that sort of stuff, and I do not wish that autism burnout and all the stuff you've gone through on anyone. But the bit to draw from it is probably you and your daughter are closer than you've ever been.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's always, you always find those positives. You always find those positives. And obviously, and it will always be a horrible time period, but at some point, you'll sit there and go, I wonder what would have happened if that didn't happen. I wonder all those sorts of things. But it's one of the things, life is, I used to say, it's not should have or could have. It is or it isn't.
Yes.
And we all we always use our best endeavors with the information we have at the time. So no one wants to harm their child. No teacher wants to put a child in danger or make them feel unsafe. But the more we know, the more we understand, the more we actually sometimes find out that actually what we were doing makes that child feel like that. By not doing something, we can do that. So sharing the information, sharing Eva's story, as you said, hopefully will make difference, will hopefully prevent other children or even individuals going into burnout because they recognize the signs and they learn to step away before they burn out. I really enjoyed the conversation. And as always, you've shared lots of links.
Yes.
So various social medias, your Amazon author page, but also a link to the Eva's Voice book on Amazon. And you can also email Sarah and go to her website and look at all her books, because you've not just written one or two, you've written quite a few.
13, Dale. 13.
I personally, when I got to say I've written 2 at the same time, but that's just me. And as always, you'll find the show notes wherever you listen to the podcast or on the Zencast website. And don't forget to follow us on the social medias on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Search for the Zencast and you will find us. Now, EverSense, our parental communication software, builds bridges between parents and schools. They want the same thing. They want for the child to do well, to be happy and to feel understood. But the day-to-day can make that harder than it should be, and reports do not quite capture the child or what's happening at school. Schools and parents need a way to communicate that works for everyone and where everyone has a voice, and this is where EverSense helps. Parents can see what is happening in school, including those small wins that often never make it onto a report. But it also works both ways, capturing pupil voice and parent voice too. So it becomes a shared conversation rather than a one-way update. When everyone can see the same information, the same effort, the same wins, it's easier to build that trust and that partnership. And this is good for everyone. So visit the BeSquare website to find out more about EverSense, or click on the meeting link in the show notes to book a meeting with me to take you through EverSense and what it can do for your school. But for now, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the Zencast. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.